In show business, acts struggling to make an impact in the UK were often sardonically described as big in Belgium. The joke, depending on the small size and perceived irrelevance of the country, stuck like sand between the pushy toes of France, the Netherlands and Germany. This year, though, Belgian television really is going to be big in Britain. Next month, Channel 4 will screen a huge hit from the tiny nation, 13 Commandments, in which a moralistic serial killer becomes a social media celebrity, as part of the network's year-long season of Flemish language drama. The last major European invasion of UK television was Scandi-noir crime dramas such as The Killing and The Bridge. So is Belg fiction the new Scandi-noir? I'm very excited about what's coming out of Belgium, says Walter Iuzzolino, the international TV expert who curates Walter Presents, Channel 4's foreign drama service. Before starting the strand named after him, Iuzzolino, a 49-year-old from Genoa, spent a year watching international drama. To establish the service, he chose mainly French and Scandinavian shows. We went with those because those were the territories that had any kind of traction in the UK at the time, he says. But, even then, I was surprised and impressed by Belgium. The first show I came across, which is still one of my all-time favorites, was Clan, which Channel 4 titled The Outlaws. That series about four Belgian sisters plotting the murder of their other sibling's husband proved popular in the UK and the US, where Walter Presents is now available as a subscription service, as has Professor T, a sort of Belgian cracker about an eccentric criminologist. What I loved about those shows, which I think is a characteristic of Belgian TV, is the ability to mix genre and tone, says Iuzzolino. It's artistically and tonally unpredictable. You often pretty much know what you're going to get from a Scandinavian, or French, or Italian show. But there is something about the Belgians that means a show is never entirely straight. So The Outlaws is like a family comedy stroke thriller. You're watching something like Desperate Housewives with a gun, and then gradually it becomes darker and darker. Professor T has almost Ally McBeal-like musical and dream sequences alongside straight police procedural. Such tonal shifts continue, to the likely bemusement of some viewers, in this year's wave of Belgian work. Take 13 Commandments, which combines extreme violence, including the throat-slitting of a Turkish immigrant, with odd cop comedy between the investigating duo. Also combining darkness and farce, New Texas involves four warring siblings required by their father's will to live happily together for a year to secure inheritance. Scratch My Back alternates realism and surrealism in the story of a luxury retirement community, at risk of going bust, that brings in young offenders as cheap staff. Tabula Rasa is a stylish combination of detection and horror, in which the key witness to a crime suffers from a form of amnesia in which any form of stress will lead her to forget even more. The central strength of Belgian television, says Iuzzolino, is that their definition of genre is not as narrow as in many TV cultures. There's less tendency to start with a dead girl in a forest, and then all you do is follow the investigation. Indra Sierra, who has just directed the third series of Professor T, suggests that this narrative wackiness is as much necessity as invention. We watch a lot of British and American drama, and know what the standards are, and to be honest I knew that the budget and the scripts could not match them. So I tried to put in some weirdness, music, poetry, dance numbers, dream sequences, just to give it as much distinctiveness as possible. And it seems to have worked. Minuscule budgets are a major problem for Sierra and other Belgian TV makers. The average budget for an hour of Belgian drama is €100,000, around £88,000, less than a tenth of the average for peak-time British fiction, and 1/100th of what Netflix is reputed to spend on each episode of The Crown. The Belgian TV audience is both compact and fragmented. The country has 11 million people, but these divide between populations speaking Flemish, the national variation of Dutch, French, and German, while many historical dialects, including Walloon, also flourish in pockets of the country. A reflection of the complexity of Belgian culture is that the country's prime minister, before giving a speech, has to decide which language to speak, and some especially sensitive addresses may have alternative paragraphs in several tongues. Professor T, in common with Walter presents other Belgian imports so far, is spoken in Flemish. We haven't got a Walloon drama yet, laughed Siazolino, but watch this space. But, although it was a big success in the state broadcaster's prestigious 9 p.m. Sunday drama slot, Professor T had access to a maximum potential home audience of only around 2 million. This is because, says Indra Sierra, Flemish viewers generally only watch Flemish drama, and French Belgians prefer to watch French-language dramas made in France. Belgians in different regions have a very strong and independent sense of identity. I think it's because we have such a long history of oppression by other cultures.